What's up, guys? This is your girl Coco, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Kikiing with Coco. If you are new to listening to this show, I want to thank you for tuning in. And just to tell you a little bit about what the show is about, it's about life in general with an emphasis on relationships. I have my friends, different guests, my family come on the show, and we kiki about whatever the topic is for that episode. And so this week, I have with me again my cousin Leah. Leah, you want to go ahead and say what's up?
Hey everybody, I am back for another round of Kikiing with Coco. Thanks for having me. Excited about today's topic.
Yes, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. So I'm excited to talk about this. So we're gonna start off the show with the drink with Coco, and Leah recommended this drink. It's called Love Potion 69, and it is so good. Like I just drank one, and I think it's definitely like a good drink. Have something at the house and you want a signature drink. This is a nice drink to have. So I'm gonna give you
Yeah.
guys the ingredients. It is 1 ounce of Malibu rum, 1 ounce of peach schnapps, half an ounce of like a dark rum. So I used Captain Morgan spiced rum. Girl, did you know Bacardi 151 got discontinued?
What?
Yes, I went to look for it and it wasn't anywhere on the shelf. So I'm looking like what's a substitute for Bacardi
151.
151, and it was like it got discontinued.
Oh,
Yes.
oh my goodness.
I got a
And
story about Bacardi 151.
I
But
know you do.
so besides the alcohol, there is 4 ounces of pineapple juice and 2 ounces of cranberry juice. And it is definitely a good mixture. So go ahead, try it out. Let me know what you think about it. Tag me in a post if you decide to make this drink. But, just a little quick backstory on the Bacardi 151.
Mm, mm, mm.
The first night me and my ex-husband hung out, he brought this Bacardi 151 to my house. And I'm thinking like, I'm a G. I drink Hennessy. I do this. I couldn't even move the next day.
Oh yeah, Bacardi 151 ain't nothing to play with.
I said I
That'll put
should have
you on
known
your
from
back.
that night he was not the one. Like he should have forewarned me.
No, have you on your back. That 151. That
Yeah,
151 ain't no joke.
it is
Mm-mm.
not no joke, but
That ain't no punk at all. Oh
it
my
sure
God, that's hilarious.
is. So go ahead, try that out. Let me know what y'all think. And
Wonderful.
we're going to move into the word on the street. So last time we talked about the Brandy versus Monica versus what you think about the Brandy versus Monica?
Man, it was kind of tight for me because I kept going back and forth between Monica and Brandy, and I'm like, their voices are they have like those distinct voices. So you know, as soon as they start building out any kind of note or anything, you know which one is Monica, which one is Brandy.
Yeah.
But oh, they're both so soulful,
Mm-hmm.
and they both sing. I think I resonate with both of them. I might be like a shout out to the Geminis with the dual
Dual
personalities
personalities, yeah.
because because Monica is like, whenever she sings, the range, it's just like both of them sing from a place of experience.
Yes,
And I think
yes.
people could really relate to people when you sing from like a place like, this is not something that maybe she read. Like a lot of their music, both of them, they do a lot of co-writing on their own music.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel it so much more as a connoisseur of that genre because they they sing from a place of pain, a place of
Mm-hmm.
experience in this stuff. So it's like you know, When I'm in my feelings though, like when I'm really in my feelings, I listen to Monica.
I
Like
was about to say,
she get
you
me in
gotta
my
listen to
feelings.
Monica on that one.
I'm like in my feelings. I'm like, it's like, man, did she really, did Rocco, which one of his daddies did this, or what did she experience this with? And then Brandy, Monica has actually gone through that. I think Brandy has gone through some portions of it, like Have You Ever, or, you know, um, she's never really had an extensive, long, like super serious relationship publicly.
Right.
I think she's always wanted to have that, but I don't know what the blockage is for Brandy. Like she's beautiful, she's soulful, she's such a good spirited individual. Like her energy is very good,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know why she hasn't been able to be successful in relationships.
I
Um,
don't know. So, everybody want to say like if you like young girls shouldn't be dating older men, or they want to talk about all these famous men who date these younger women, but we haven't discussed younger women in the industry, like the actual successful person, the successful woman in the
yeah.
industry dating older men. And so when you think about Brandy's second album with the Have You Ever and stuff like that, she was dating Wanye from Boys to Men at that time.
Oh, she
And
sure
he was
was. Yeah.
definitely way older than she was.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah.
Then, of course, you got her baby daddy that she lied about secretly marrying. And then
Man,
I
I still
remember,
don't understand that.
I don't either. But when you think, I guess like the pressure for her is that she was supposed to be this good girl, whatever. So for her to get pregnant and not be married, I guess she felt like she had to protect her brand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then when you think about when 211 came out, around the
Hmm.
time Whitney Houston passed away, she was actually engaged to somebody. So
I remember that guy, like the light skinned guy or
yeah, the
something. They
light
was
skinned
like
guy.
all showboating and
Mm-hmm.
all on social media, and it was like really, really, really good. And then it just went left, and you didn't see him
Yeah.
no more.
So I
Yep, I
think
remember that.
I think from the experience with her baby daddy and the experience with her previous fiance, maybe between then and between now, she's just learned to be more protective or secretive about her relationships and maybe that's the issue on why her relationships ain't never lasted.
Yeah, yeah, because it's like for me, I'm like, what? Why? This engagement, like they were. What happened?
Yeah.
Like, what happened? I mean, like, and you never get any kind of conclusion to any of her
Mm-hmm.
relationships. Like to me, Monica is a little bit more transparent and a
Yeah.
little bit more. She's a little bit better equipped to communicate. Let me say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
She likes to put herself in a position where she can be more transparent and just out there with her fans to let them know, hey, she been through this, the death of the first baby father, I think, or the second one of the daddies is or passed away or something. Oh, not
I
passed
thought her
away.
first two
The
kids was by
boyfriend, the
Rocco.
boyfriend.
Yeah, the
Yeah, the
boyfriend passed,
boyfriend.
and then I think
Yeah,
she
the
got with
boy.
Rocco.
And then she got with Rocco, had the babies, and then they never got married, but they always kind of never. I kind of saw interaction between them, and they seemed like they were better off as friends.
Yeah.
And then getting with, I forgot who she got with after him. Um,
I think it was well, I don't know, but I think it was Shannon Brown who she was married to.
yeah, with the baby Layla, the
Yeah.
daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then now that's like they literally getting a divorce, and I'm like, man, come
Yeah.
on. I'm like, so, but the versus battle was really, I, it was just really good. I love Monica. I love both of them. But when I'm in my feelings, I have to go like with Monica. And when I'm kind of on like an empowerment, something to keep me motivated, keep me going, I listen to like Brandy. Both of them are good in their own way, but Monica gets you like man, why you just couldn't do this right? Why you just
Yeah.
couldn't? And so I
It's
love
like she
Brandy.
give you that girl, I can relate to you vibe. Like I've been there.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes,
But
yes,
the vibe,
yes.
speaking of Brandy and how, you know, a relationship is what she wants. Like I've
Yeah.
definitely been listening to both of them since the verses happened. And from
Hmm.
what I gather from a lot of her songs, like yes, she gonna empower you. And yes, she does have her heartbreak songs. But when she had
Yeah.
them love songs, she
Yes.
in love, and you can tell.
Yes, you can. Yes, you
Mhm.
can. That everything is a little bit more passionate. It's just deeper. And
Yeah.
I'm like, man, she taking you to a whole other, give me a whole other little experience listening to
Yeah.
this.
So it's one song that I've never heard this song before the verses.
Hmm.
But it's called He Is, and I love that song. Like
I
the
gotta listen
words
to it.
to it, it's like you can just tell she is in love in this song. And
Brandy.
Brandy, yeah, Brandy.
Okay.
Like she is in love in this song. And I just like it's taking love to a whole nother plane, I feel. So
Wow. I
that is
gotta hear
my
that.
favorite song. And I don't know if it's because I feel like I just love. So I'm like, I can I can understand what it feel like to be in that type of love. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's just like, yes, girl, yes. Them words is really for the love of your life.
Yes. 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 I gotta listen to that. He is. Okay. I
He
gotta
is.
listen to that. Okay.
Yes.
I'm
So
putting that
listen
on
to
my
that
list.
song, y'all. That song
I am.
is good.
Yeah, I'm listening to that.
So we did our recap on the Brandy and Monica verses. Now we got, I feel like, the ultimate battle, Patti versus Gladys.
Man. I,
Now I know some people may be like,
oh,
girl, what you know about Patti and Gladys? But when I tell you, my mama did not listen to no current music when I was a kid.
okay.
She listened to B103, and B103 in Chicago played the old school, and it played some new school, but it was strictly R&B new school. It
In
wasn't
the
no rap.
battle.
It wasn't no
Yep.
rap in it. It wasn't
Nope.
so, and if you turned on some rap, Rena was like, turn that off. She'd get in the car today and be like, turn that off. So when I hear
Okay.
about Patti and Gladys, like I'm here for it. Mama Patti, I'm going for Patti though, y'all.
I have to say too, I don't know. I was doing my little homework on them, and we grew up, of course, piggybacking off of the V103. We always listened to Herb Kent. And so Herb
Yeah,
Kent was on Sunday. So it was the battle on
yeah.
Sunday. So you
After they
had
played
your
the
old
gospel
school.
music.
Yes. Then you had your battle. So it was like, man, now we gonna praise God. Now we got to get into this battle.
Yep.
And this battle right here is like the ultimate. So I was just kind of sizing them up. I didn't know they were both 76 years old. I didn't know they are both the same age.
Mm-hmm.
And Patti has been in the business for like 60 years. I think they're both kind of neck and neck on the years they've been in the business. And
Yeah.
it was kind of just an eye opener to see that they were like, the Grammy Award winners, and Patti was the first African American vocalist to kind of be featured on the Rolling Stones cover, which that's
Okay.
something I didn't know about when I was listening, and learning about her. But and then to give Gladys Knight her props, she is one of the 100 greatest voices of Rolling Stone named her. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like y'all got theme songs. Gladys wrote the theme song for James Bond in '89. I mean, they both are like the Clash of the Titans. But
Mm-hmm.
what puts Patti over the edge for me is her range. That
Yeah.
vocal range is sick.
Mm-hmm.
Gladys can go. I mean, I think Gladys is one of the most like an alto tenor. Like she can go low. She can really get deep with it. But
Yeah.
Patty's range And I also think Patty's stage presence is a little bit stronger
Yeah.
than Gladys's, as far as how you can really feel her. You know, I think about the
Hmm.
Fantasias that take their shoes off on the stage. You know, Patty would kick
Yeah.
them heels. You hear me? She don't care where
Patty
they
is
go.
gonna take you to church.
Yes, she is. She gonna take you there, baby, and them hands get to flapping like
Them
wings.
shoulders.
Them shoulders, them shoulder pads,
Yes.
and Gladys get up there and she gets a hump. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I love Patti, and then she made those Patti pies. That food kind of got my tummy on full. You know.
Did you see that video where I guess Patty was showing like all the food she was making, getting prepared for the verses?
Man, do you hear me? That ain't even right to cook like that.
No.
And have people sit down. And so I just love Patti. I resonate with her style. I love that she has always had a nail. She don't be playing about her nails, her hair, her make. She's always very stylish. And Gladys is too in her own way, but a little bit more conservative.
Right.
Patty's a little bit more flashy with her. She's like could
Hmm.
be Tina Knowles' mama's mama or sister. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know,
So
like I don't like I feel like in the 80s, Patty was wearing that hair like spiked up or whatever.
yeah, that girls be
Hmm.
just doing that, still doing, okay?
Yep. But
So
I'm
I don't
here
know.
for my
I'm going for Patty. I'm definitely going for Patty, but I'm
hmm
just hoping that Gladys but that range,
hmm if I had to pick a favorite song from each of them, I would say from Patty is If Only You Knew.
yes.
And then
Yes.
for Gladys, hmm, she got a lot of good songs.
Yes, she does.
Maybe If I Was Your Woman might be that song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
I have to agree with you. I like Midnight Train to Georgia too.
Yeah.
I
But
love
I feel like
that.
everybody know that song.
Everybody know that. And
Hmm.
I like if those are like the older versions of them. But
Yeah.
I love If Only You Knew, definitely by Petty. That gets you in your feelings, okay?
Hmm.
And
I think everybody got that one person that you kind of just be like, if you really knew how I felt, like maybe things
yeah,
could be different.
man. And I would have to agree with you. I gotta look at their gotta look at some of their masters and soundtracks and see, but
Now, if you
uh
want to talk about a soundtrack song, Gladys did Missing You for the Set It Off soundtrack, and it had Brandy
girl, wasn't that
on it.
girl? That was fire.
Yes.
Didn't she do that?
Mm-hmm.
And then Patty turned around. Didn't she do? She had a song on "Waiting to Exhale" that I like too.
You say what now?
Um, Patty's song, I forgot the name of it. It's on "Waiting to Exhale" soundtrack. She did a song on that movie soundtrack on "Waiting to Exhale."
Mm.
Um, shoot, I have to think of the name of it because I was just listening to it other morning. I can't even think of the name of it on "Waiting to Exhale." But it was dang. I got
Now
to
that
think of that name.
soundtrack was a good one too. Like my mama used to play that soundtrack
Right.
to. You would think that thing was about to fall off the track.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to
It's
think.
called
Let
My
me
Love, Sweet Love.
yeah. And I love that because it was like that was when she was dating Loretta Devine's ex-husband. You know,
Mm.
when he came out. And that was who that song to me. It was like every song, soundtrack, and song in that movie. That's another Coco for another day. Kiki, that's another Kiki for another day
Yeah.
episode. Okay, that movie and soundtrack because that was the first movie that actually, you know how you could hear snippets of the soundtrack in the background for different scenes
Yeah,
for
yeah.
different ladies because they were all going for different stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
that song actually played when David Tariq's father came to visit her and
Hmm.
she was
Oh yeah,
really
yeah,
hoping they
yeah.
was gonna have a good time, and that was
Hmm.
playing in the background because she loved his father. But
Yes,
she
she
was when he
did.
came out and said he had been gay for years, she was like, "Are you kidding me? Like you don't have to go this far, you know?"
Right.
So
If you don't want me,
that,
just say you don't
just
want me.
say
But
that
you ain't
you
gotta
ain't
say
got
you
to go.
gay.
Right, you ain't got to do all.
Girl, that's one of my favorite movies too.
Girl, that's another key, okay? But I'm
Hmm.
telling you that song, it was kind of a melancholy song. It wasn't sad,
Yeah.
but it was just that woman just really expressing that, he was her love, he was her heart, really. So
Hmm.
it that was a good one too. They both have done some wonderful bodies of work. The Gladys Knight was in Jamie Foxx. She
Oh
played in
yeah,
some
yep. She was his
episodes of that.
mama. Both of
So
them
I'm like,
had acting roles, and Patti is still acting. She
baby,
had a role, her last role was in Star as Queen Latifah's mom.
sure was. And
Hmm.
she was something else, a
A
pistol in
pistol
there.
toting praying
A
woman.
pistol toting mom. You hear me? And you know what my favorite role of her, I have to say, that probably resonated more with who she actually really was, with both of them in their acting roles, was probably A Different World. Remember she played
Yeah,
Dwayne's
Dwayne
mom,
Wayne's
and she
mama.
made
My little
them
chipmunk.
pies, and My Little Chipmunk, and that blueberry cobbler.
Nah, it wasn't the blueberry. It was that
Oh, was it
prune pie, prune
prune
cobbler.
pie?
Like, I like prunes. I do like prunes, but I don't know if
Prune
I want
cobbler.
a
Was it
prune and a
prune
cobbler.
cobbler? Baby. And she was like, My Little Chipmunk love my. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yes,
Miss
it was a
Thing.
prune cobbler.
That
Miss
little Miss
Thing, yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, that little Miss Thing. Talking about Whitley.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Yes,
Yeah, I think
yes.
that's
So
definitely more her
this gonna be a good
personality.
one.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was more her personality and spirit. Now I think she can act anyway, but I think they're both like two huge Titanic ships of just a body of work overall. And you can't
Hmm.
help but love one over the other. It really just depends on the kind of mood that you're in. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
It just depends on the kind of mood you're in for both of them. But yeah, I like them both. I
Hmm.
definitely like them both. Yep. So I'm rooting for my Patty Pie, but I'm just saying Gladys she is literally right there. It's
Yeah,
really like no level one above the other. It's just really more a preference because the body of work they each have done a lot of philanthropic work. So I'm for just the fun of it. But yeah, but I
yeah.
love my Miss Patty.
I think it's just one of those things just to hear their music at one time and like just giving you all these vibes, feelings, and stuff. So I'm definitely looking forward to hearing the whole little project.
Me too. Me too. Definitely. I'm excited. Definitely excited for sure.
Yep. And then we got the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, talking about doing a reunion. I feel like all these shows do a reunion, and the last
Hmm.
reunion that they did not include dark skinned Aunt Viv. And it's no rumor that the dark skinned Aunt Viv and Will Smith apparently didn't get along with each other, and that's why she got replaced. But I will say, I just remember even being younger and watching it and seeing Aunt Viv change. And it was like, who is this woman? This ain't Aunt Viv. Like, who is this light skinned woman? Aunt Viv is dark.
Okay, okay. I think too that I think for me, like I don't understand. I don't know the inner workings of the beef or anything. But to me, I didn't care for the new Aunt Viv.
I didn't either.
I think the darker Aunt Viv, I forgot her name. She really created. Um, she was like soulful and snazzy and snappy and
Mm-hmm.
had an attitude, but educated and still bougie. Like she was sassy, bougie, ratchet. Okay,
Yes.
sexy. She was about her fitness. She was just really the glue for me as far as the Banks family
Right.
outside of Will. It was like she kind of put some things in perspective that you could still have your your snazziness, but she was educated. She was a
Mhm.
woman that had a PhD. That was her highest degree on the show.
Yep.
And I think the newer Aunt Viv was more
The
with her.
housewife.
Yeah, she was just more conservative, the housewife. Like, to me, Aunt Viv, the darker version, she was a boss. She still had
Yeah.
that boss mentality. Like Philip, she was still submissive, but she still could stand in her power. I
Right.
didn't like I didn't like the second one too much because it was like she was more or less um like you said, just like the housewife. It was more
Mhm.
like, what does she even do for a living? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did she do anything? I don't know what she did. I know the first one was like the professor, the teacher, her husband was a lawyer. I like women in power with husbands like that, like Claire Huxtable and Cliff
Yeah.
Huxtable. He's Cliff Huxtable, lawyer
Yeah.
and doctor, whatever they were, she still had her identity. And I think when
Mhm.
they rewrote that second Aunt Viv, it just kind of took it down a level, not just for me.
So I did watch Fresh Prince on Netflix because it's on there. And I did see, like, in one of the episodes, it did bring up with the new Aunt Viv that she was a professor. But I want to say that after she had Nikki, she took a back seat from her career to be a stay-at-home mom for the last baby. And I felt like they rewrote it that way because it was a
Mhm.
different character playing this person. And they wanted, I think, to mold it more to that person's personality. And because, like you said, the first Aunt Viv was a boss. She could hold her own ground, yet be submissive. And the second Aunt Viv, it was like she had her moments, and Phil would be like, okay, let me get it together. But in the same token, it wasn't the same kind of sassiness.
No, and I think too, I kind of question the kind of mental where was Will, since that was his show. He's a very even with watching like the Red Table Talks with him and Jada earlier on, you could tell that because of his military background with his father, just going back into some of the history of him because it was his show and his idea. I think it gave us a little bit of an insight into his mindset of what he thought of women at the time because his first wife Cherie, she was a stay-at-home mom with Trey. I think
Mm-hmm.
she let Will shine, she let him come out of there. And I think Aunt Viv would be like the more of the Jada.
Yeah.
She's standing in her power, she's doing her thing, she's still a boss, she ain't gonna let you run over her, but she's still gonna compromise and do what's necessary for the family. So I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if this Aunt Viv, the second light skin one, was maybe kind of a rewrite of how he saw Cherie in his first marriage. Because I think Will is a very earlier on was very controlling. So
Yeah.
with that, he had an idea of things of how he wanted things to be and how he thought things should look. So it's like I wonder if that was kind of his mindset with creating this other second Aunt Viv, which I really didn't care for, and she didn't give me a whole lot of screen presence either.
No, 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 not like the first Anvia for sure.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. But in this reunion, the dark skinned Aunt Viv is supposed to be present. Um, she is going to be present. So whatever the beef was, I think they have apparently they've squashed it that he's able to include her in this new in the new reunion.
And I think he would catch a lot of backlash if he ever tried to not to disassociate Fresh Prince, the success of it without her. So
Yeah.
I even think,
I think he did
just
try to do that for a long time, but as of late with people, I think people with social media having such a big presence in our culture, people
yeah,
have been very vocal about not liking the fact that they changed dark skin Aunt Viv to light skin Aunt Viv, or how they don't
man,
even associate with her. And she's actually gone on social media and did like a rant about not being a part of a reunion before.
wow, the dark skin on
Dark
there,
skin Aunt Viv, yeah.
and I don't blame her because to
I
me,
think her
she
name is
made the
like
show.
Karen.
Yeah, I
Karen
think
Hubert.
another Karen, huh?
Them parents be real vocal.
Them parents be real talkative. They got a lot of opinions. And you know what? I related to her. Like, if you think about it, the light skinned Aunt Viv with the sisters Vi and all them when they was coming to
Yeah,
town, like those actors, like they fit better with her, with the Karen, with the
yeah,
darker Aunt Viv. Like they were like the soul sisters. And
right.
then
Like they
the
was
other
more like when they got together, like you could tell it was a
yes,
sister vibe.
yes, but the not with the light skinned Aunt Viv, it was more like, ah, uh,
Right.
we'll make it work. We'll
Like
make it
that's the
work.
bougie sister.
Exactly, exactly. So I think definitely I don't blame her. I don't blame her for going on a rant because that to me would kind of that would tick me off. Just period because she really helped in making the show. So yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break and then we'll come back with the hot cup of cocoa. What's up, guys? We're back and we about to get into the hot cup of cocoa. So, one of my favorite movies and one of Leah's favorite movies is Love Jones. And if you don't know what Love Jones is, I don't know what brick you've been living up under, but you need to get into it because it's a classic.
Please. Yes, it is. Whew.
It got Lorenz Tate and Nia Long, two people that ain't aged since then.
Man, they look good. They
They
look
still
good.
looking mighty good.
Yes, they are. Definitely.
And so the reason we talking about Love Jones is because there are
Mm,
a lot of relationship themes in them that I think we all can relate to. We have all been through these situations
mm-hmm.
and it's just I think it's just a good kind of like let's talk about it, let's get into it.
Mm,
So, one of the first things about Love Jones is these two people meet. They meet by chance,
mm,
but
mm,
then
mm.
the guy is so taken by this woman. Lorenz Tate is taken by Nia Long. And their names in the movie is Darius Love Hall and Nina Mosley.
Yes.
And Darius is so taken by Nina that he kind of just pops up and anybody listening who ain't never seen this movie is like, what? He popped up at her house? But
He sure did, baby.
uh
Woo, he
his
surely
his
did.
one of his friends worked at a record shop. For those of you that
Yep.
don't know what that is, you know, people used to go to these places and buy CDs, records, cassette tapes, you know, whatever.
Mhm.
And she went and she wrote a check. I know we don't write checks no more, but she
Right.
wrote a check. And of course, your check has your address on it. And Darius just so happened to be in the record store while she was there. And after she left, you
Man.
know, well, while she was there, he tried to shoot a shot. She turned him down. So when she
Hmm.
left, he asked the friend for the address. The friend like, now why would I do that? He like,
Man.
because you
Because
my
I'm
girl.
your boy. I'm your you my God. She
And
just
she
did
gave
it.
him the address.
She gave him the address. OMG.
So
And
he
you know,
up at her house with a record that she was looking for that they did not
yep,
have.
the
And
Isley Brothers CD.
yep, and she agreed to go on a date with him.
Man,
They
I'm telling
apparently was a hit.
man, that movie, oh my gosh. And then just thinking about it too, real quick, is like they in the very beginning, because I love the soundtrack, which is super dope on that movie too. She actually um was let go, or I guess she left. She's that photographer. So Nina Mosley was that up and coming photographer. Darius was the up and coming writer. And
Hmm.
so it was such a divine connection and divine timing that neither one of them knew was actually taking place in a universe. They
Right.
had stuff going on in their own lives, and it was like the universe somehow brought them together. She
Mm-hmm.
was the photographer, but she really wanted to have her own situation, but she was an assistant to the guy, remember?
Right.
And he was like, this ain't working out. Maybe you be better off on your own. So she went and got his bagels and stuff. She threw that bag to the side and left. Then they switched it to Darius. He was like, man, I can't believe I'm finally gone from that place. So they were both in their feelings and in search of their own purpose on their own separate journeys. That
Mm-hmm.
was what was so awesome about it. And they both wind up frequenting the record store, like you said. And I'm like, oh my God, it was just amazing how that just like all happened all in sync. What are the odds that you all both like not lose your jobs, but just walk out into your own purpose and just start on this own journey?
Yeah. It's kind of like one of those things, it happens when you least expect it type situations.
Hmm.
So, um, she agreed to go on this date. What was they doing? What was the first part of the date? You remember?
Wait a minute. The actual first time that he took her out when he came to her house, he said, well, if you don't say yes, I'm gonna be bringing these CDs every day. She
Prince
was like, no,
CDs.
I'll say print CDs.
Tish
So he was
love
like,
Prince.
yeah, shout out to Tish. Okay, she loved Prince, but Prince CDs, and he was like, that brother be cranking them albums out, so I could be here every day. And she's like, no, no, no. He wanted to take her to they were having a get together. I think it at Savon's house,
Oh
one of the
yeah, it was
friends'
at
houses.
Savon's house, and they was
Yeah,
playing game like a game night.
playing games, and yeah, just like a real chill night. And the Sheila was doing her African dancing, and they started having this conversation about if
God
God was
being
a
a
man
woman.
and stuff. Yeah, being a woman, because if he was a man, they wouldn't be all hung up on women like they do and sprung up off of them. So yeah, that was
Hmm.
the first part of the date.
Then the second part, they went to the legendary Wild Head in Chicago. It was
Shout out to the
like a
Wild Hair.
reggae night.
Yes, that's what they're known for. Reggae, Jamaican, man, it is one of the most. It's a staple. It's a beautiful, beautiful fun night. We'll be going there. When you will be frequenting that.
Yeah. So if y'all ever in Chicago, look up the Wild Hair. It's still a thing.
Yes, it is.
So they went to the Wild Hair, and of course, like with the reggae beats, it's a lot of close body dancing, you know.
Yes.
And after that, he goes to take her home. You could feel the sexual tension between the two, and they at the door, and she like, I can't go out like this, and he's like, I understand, whatever. Let me just come up and talk. We all know how that goes. Come
Exactly.
up and talk.
Exactly.
Me, you
Yeah.
end up doing
Me.
some things.
Yeah, he was like, come up and talk. And she was like, I can't go out. Now, they both knew they wanted it. They obviously knew the attraction was there. That was no
Hmm.
question. But it was like, we can't do this on the first night. And then it was like, shit, you coming upstairs. So
Right.
it's like, man, oh man, this is gonna be some fun, 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 and it was some fun. It was
Yeah.
some fun, very interesting.
So they had sex on the first date. And
Yes,
I
they did.
know a lot of us grew up, don't give it up on the first night, and sometimes it just happens. You
Yeah,
don't anticipate it. You just be like, yeah, we're gonna go out. Sometimes the vibe is just so strong. It's kind of like you just want to act on it. And I don't think it's anything wrong with that.
yeah, yeah. I think too, growing up, that definitely was like a cliche. It was like, okay, so these are the rules. The first rule is, okay, you go out, you conduct yourself as a lady. He bring you home, pick you up, open the door.
He
But
comes to
I
the
told
door,
you,
don't honk the horn.
okay. And don't get out. I'm like, if a man doesn't get out for me, and it's like, okay, it's like old school dating versus new school. Where's the middle ground? Okay, you getting out, you opening this door. Don't honk no horn. Don't, even to lean over to open my door for me to let me in. That's not acceptable. Like, I'm gonna need you to get out and open my door. But some people, it's like, I'm cool with it. He leaned over to push the door open, so that's the same. I'm like, that is not the
That's
same.
not the same.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to get out from your seat and come on around and put me in the car safely, and then you come put yourself back in. I'm gonna need you to
Right.
do all of those things, okay? And then
Mm-hmm.
you talking about trying to get some on the first night, you can't open car doors.
No, no.
But I don't know if they. To me, if that was me, if I am Nina Mosley in that situation, it's definitely going down on the first night in that particular situation because it was just too much. Like, I could feel the tension off of the screen from
Yeah.
them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, damn, did they have to do anything like while filming this movie? Because it was intentional. It was just passionate. Even when I see
Mm-hmm.
them talk about it today or just like catch old interviews of them talking, it's like, damn, did they really try to have something? Because she's definitely would have been Lorenz Tate's type, being that he is from Chicago,
Right.
South Side Chicago. That's definitely would have been his speed. Now,
Yeah, for sure.
and she seemed like that may have been her speed too, but she might have liked maybe a taller, darker. I don't know what her flavor, but she was definitely his speed in
Yeah.
that particular season. So I'm like, man, what? So it was so much intense. But if I am standing at that door, that moment, and so he's that close to me, it's definitely going down for sure.
Yeah.
I think people put a lot of emphasis on, and I understand that too. You want to be respected as a woman, and you're gonna conduct yourself as always as a lady. But I
Mm-hmm.
think being a grown woman and you have a grown man and you all have those conversations, I think that's where the communication is going in. Like, he understood that she didn't want to go out like that, but it's more like, some men like, well, why you act on what you feel? It's like, no, because then you have me categorized a certain way in your mind and in your head, and in the morning, you know that's not going to be how you feel about it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
And then don't let the sex be whack, and then
Yeah.
we done did this on the first night. It's like,
Now
most
we ain't never
definitely
gonna talk again.
you ain't getting no phone call. You're not getting a phone call. You know what I mean? Let's keep it
Uh-uh.
real. I can't, if I have to, for me as a woman, and just speaking just candidly just about being a woman in general and having girlfriends and how our conversations will talk, is just like, for a woman, if we have to think about and dissect like little pieces of something that was good, but that one was okay, that could have been better, you're probably not going to be like the first one on the list to get no action. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
You have to be the full body of work for a female. It's like, yeah, he did, this was it here.
yeah,
Checking A, B, C, and D boxes. So, but I think, man, the when they went upstairs, it was so intense.
it was. Like that scene,
Man,
it
whew,
it was
that
just
scene,
so I don't know if it was the way it was shot, like video recorded or whatever, but
man.
the scene itself, it was very passionate. Like you could
Yes, it
tell
was.
that
It
the
was an attraction
yeah,
there.
it was definitely a physical attraction gone right.
Yes, it was gone. It went all the way right. You hear
Right.
me? Wasn't nothing left about that except that. You hear me? And I don't know
Mm-mm.
if he had no curve with it or what, but it went all the way to the
It
right.
went all the
Yes,
way to the right. And
yes.
he got up the next morning. He made an omelet, and
Mm,
I don't necessarily think either one of them thought that it would go anywhere because they slept with each other on the first night. Like, yeah, the attraction was there, but
mm-hmm.
they didn't neither of them thought it would go anywhere. And so initially after that first date, it was kind of like we just hanging out, we just having fun, because Nina did just get out of a relationship.
Out of
So
an engagement. She
right,
got
she
out
was
of an
engaged.
engagement. Yep.
And so her thought process wasn't necessarily, I'm trying to be with this man. It's just,
Exactly.
we having fun. We have a good, we get along well with each other, whatever.
Hmm.
And
And you know what's kind of crazy too? In the first part of the movie was like, I don't know if I could feel it was like, let me just watch this bar scene. Remember when it first came on and he
yeah.
spilled his drink at the bar, and
Uh-huh.
you could see that there was like a slight connection that had been made there,
Hmm.
but they both were not really. It was just kind of like when she asked him what was he thinking about, and he was like this woman that he met once,
Hmm.
and Nina was like, well, she must have been fine. Because
Yeah.
she was like, "Oh, you could tell you was deep in thought." I think that really captured him because she wasn't just beautiful, but she had some substance. So
Right.
I think that's what kind of caught his attention initially before he did the whole poem and did all of that stuff. And
Yeah.
then when they were outside, it was like, I would there's other nothing wrong with sex, but
Yeah.
there's other topics. And when she
Yeah.
wrote love on his hand, I think that really kind of struck a chord with him where he was intrigued by her because he was a writer. And then they had a it was like they had like a spiritual connection. It was just a vibe that
Yeah.
they had right
Because
then.
it wasn't just a physical attraction. It was definitely, um, I think her for sure left an impression on him. And like you said, it
Yep.
intrigued him to want to know more about her.
Yes, it definitely did. He wanted to know, like, who is this person? Like, what is this whole, like, I mean, you actually did you wrote a poem for me off the dome. Like, you got
Yeah.
up there and wrote a whole poem for me. Like, really?
Hmm.
So I think that was
And that
like
poem is
very,
called Brother to the Night.
yes. And it's like you went up there and wrote a whole poem for me off the dome. And I'm
Mhm.
like, trying to become the blues. What is it? The funk in your right thigh, the blues in your the left
Your
or the
left
right.
eye,
I'm like,
yeah.
are you kidding me? That line right there. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the
Oh
poem
my.
definitely struck a chord as far as, some, like, he literally made this poem, like she said, off the dome, and it went off of how he felt in that moment, you know?
I think too. Um, and going back to what you said in that being in that moment, I think that's where they both were that night when they slept together. It was just like we in this moment. It's
Hmm.
magic. It's this chemistry. It's something in this air between me and this woman, and we both can't deny it. And it's just going down.
Yeah.
And I mean, it like you said, it went all the way to the right, and it was all the way correct on every level. I was like, Jesus. And then, and when she came down on her road, baby, he was in had that omelet, and I'm like, like, come on
Okay.
with it now. And then he asked her, he said, "Is this something else or something else that she wanted?" And
Yeah,
I
she
was like,
said, "Don't ask me that."
"Woo!" And I was like, "Come on now, Lord, have child.
Yes. Come on with
Oh,
the come on.
come on with the come on. Do you hear me?" I
Yes.
said, "Baby, that's a whole other situation." I'm like, oh, to be in that kitchen. I mean, and then they had an exchange of, do you want to see me again? And he's like, yeah, I really want to, I want to hang out again. And then it just starts this whole whirlwind of this
Yeah.
relationship. It's just like, man, a
Mhm.
situationship,
A
okay?
situationship.
Man. I mean, who defines that? What it's a situation. It's like, so the situation turns into a relation. Well, I mean, how do you even, girl? That's really something,
So a situationship, I feel,
man.
is what Nina and Darius had in the beginning. Like
Yes,
they knew they liked each other. They knew they had an attraction to each other, but they were just hanging out. They had not defined what they were.
yep, no
Um,
definition. Yeah,
yeah, there's no definition there. You know you something to each other, but you're not specifically exclusive with each other. Which
exactly.
which is why Nina
That's a
left
good one.
to go to New York to rekindle her relationship with her ex fiance when the fiance came to her house and said, I want to work it out. Come to New York.
Girl, I would have been like, how dare you?
Right? Like, dude,
How dare you? How
you
dare you?
left. You left the home we lived in together with no notice and just dipped.
And bounced, okay? And then this is how you coming back to me? What was his name in the movie? Was it Marvin or something like that?
Marvin. Marvin.
I'm like, are you freaking kidding me right now? When he did that, I was like, how dare you interrupt me right now?
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm having this moment, and it's so crazy because it's like people exit your life in relationships. They come in, some people come out, but I think there is, truly somebody for everybody, but it's like there are these divine situations and it's this divine timing of the
Mm-hmm.
universe where it just like bringing two people together or in the same atmosphere, or like you even being like in a certain space where you are in the UK or what, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Who say that relationship is not there, or if and when you return to the states, when you get, it's like, is that the season for it? Is that person waiting at the airport? It's like you just don't know what
Mm-hmm.
the universe is like doing and calculating this stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, with that being said, we all get with our friends. So of course she was like, what do I do? He had bought her a train ticket to go to New York. So all she had to do was go. But of course
Yep.
she got this situation right now. And so we get with
Mm,
our girlfriends and we talk and we like, girl, what should I do? You know?
yeah.
And so she's talking to her friend, and her friend is like, well, what you want to do? And she kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, I want to see what's up, but then I know I got this situation here. So the friend
Yeah.
is like, well, this is what you do. Tell old boy, you know, I'm going to go check out this situation in New York. And if
Mm-hmm.
he trip, then don't go. But if he don't
Mm-hmm.
trip, then go.
Then go. Playing a whole damn mind game.
Yeah. And I will say that is the part I hate about dating, is because you
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta play these games to get the
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta play games to get the results you want, and then sometimes you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, this is the time, this is the season, this is happening. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's just like, I think when you have uncertainty in your relationship, where comes that they didn't have no definition,
Yep.
when uncertainty happens, you feel like you have to play these mind games in order to get the desired result.
Yeah. I think that's the case in a lot of situations, situationships, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that for some men, they're very closed off as to how they really are feeling and how they choose to express how they're really feeling. I think that they keep a lot of things bottled up. A lot of men are not really vocal in that, which is what I think Darius did in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, when he got with his boy at the pool hall, he was like, man, she put it on me.
Yeah. Like she
he was
could be
like,
the
oh,
one.
you got big. Yeah, and he stopped playing pool. He took his glasses off. He was like,
Oh, you done
he was
got
like,
bit by
what?
that
You
bug.
done bit by that bug. He said, yeah, you got them Jones put on. You hear me? Them
Uh-huh.
Love Jones. And he was like, man, he was like, and I got up and I made breakfast. And he was like, breakfast? What
You?
you cook? You he was like, man, I got up. So he was expressing all of this, which is what men do, talking to his boys.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was around her, you with all of this cool, calm, and collected. But he also had lied to his friend. He knew deep down that he was in love. He
Mm-hmm.
knew he had found who he was looking for, but he was not ready to tell her that.
Right.
And I don't think she was ready to tell him that either, because it was more like, hey, we just kicking it, we just hanging out. They still putting that title on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they still had not become a relationship, officially anything.
Yeah.
Right now they was just friends with benefits, hanging out. We know that there's a chemistry here. We know that we got something here, but they hadn't really expounded into each other's lives to really find out if they could bring everything together, because he still didn't know. He knew she was a photographer, and of course that comes out more as the movie goes on. But and then him and Ryder, so they got into each other's lives more, and they started kind of mirroring each other, like in the middle and going through the movie
Yeah.
with just how things were. So, man, this brings about a lot of questions with people, like in these situations, because typically, a woman knows that she gonna sleep with a man in 5 minutes. We looking at him, we sizing him up. We already know it. If we just gonna be honest about it, it's like, man, okay,
Facts on facts.
he could be a potential candidate. Like, this is okay, all right, I see you. So our little spirits be like, oh, okay, I see you. And a
Mm-hmm.
man does as well.
Yeah.
Like if they have their criteria, like men do have their criteria, just like women do. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, let me, see if I can push up on this and see how I can get what's going on here. So I, for her, I think it was more or less like she was healing from hurt that she had already encountered being and going through that engagement,
Right. And him
with
just leaving
Marvin,
him.
just totally dropping the ball with it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think she wanted to open herself up to Darius, but I think she was confused as to how she really could, or even had the feeling that she could, because it was like, damn, am I supposed to be feeling like this for this guy? I'm just getting out of this situation. And for Darius, it was never really portrayed that he ever really had anybody. He seemed like he was the single bachelor living
Yeah.
his life, doing his thing. But I don't think he was actually, he never he never intended to feel that way for her. I
Right.
think that caught him totally off guard, and that
Mm-hmm.
I have a personal story regarding that too, but that's another Kiki for another Coco. But I, I think I think that he was not expecting for her to be as dynamic as she was, or for her to really captivate him like off the rip like that. Because
Right.
I feel like he had his little side, he had his women, he had his picks of the choosers.
I think it was one of those situations where you know when you look good. You know when
Yeah,
you know what you bring to the table. And so it was
yeah,
kind of like he's the type of man that he knew he looked good. He knew he had his stuff together. And so it's just one of those things, like I can get whoever I want. Like that's the mentality I get from him. You know,
yes,
and even
yes.
after Nina leaves and he meets this other girl,
It wasn't the
it was
same.
kind of one of those situations where they kind of I think they were in the same poetry club or whatever, but just kind of like, you attractive, what's up, and she gravitated towards him because he was a nice looking man, and I think
Exactly.
that's what it was initially, like, well, I know I look good, you know what I'm saying, let me see what else is to this woman. But like I said,
Exactly.
he wasn't ready to admit what he was feeling. So when she said, I'm gonna go, he was just like, well, we just kicking it.
So go. But
Yeah,
that's
so go.
really not, that ain't really what he really wanted. That was not his intention,
No, not at
And
all.
see, again, we don't know if he was ever like hurt in any of his like previous relationships or anything. We don't know
Mm-hmm.
any of that kind of stuff. We don't know if he had ever encountered anything with a woman where he had been hurt by the woman or whatever the case may have been. But it's like, why is it that he wasn't able to be vocal at that time? He
Right.
was not able to tell her, hey,
He
I'm really
wasn't ready.
feeling you. He was not ready at that time, and I don't think he was prepared for the impact that she would have on his life, because even if we watch interact with, wasn't it wasn't the same passion, it wasn't the same zeal, it wasn't the same emphasis, because they actually had fun as friends. Like
Right.
they had those topics about, the poetry and all of the other stuff that he was talking about, the books, and they connected on another level. And it wasn't just physical, they was having fun together, they could just
Yeah.
do things that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he really had, it's like that was his home girl slash, they smashing
The
slash,
homie love a friend.
I mean, a homie,
Mm-hmm.
a straight homie lover friend. Like
Yep.
that was who they were. So man, it's deep. It's very deep.
Yeah. And so, with him not giving her the response she was looking for, maybe to turn up and be like, hell no, you not gonna go. She
Okay.
left and she went to go see what was going on with the ex-fiance in New York. And I think we've all had those situations where we've kind of gone back to somebody just because, of what we were in the past. And I think that's what made her go. And of course, if she was going to go and make a life with this man in New York, because he pretty much wanted to pick up where they left off at,
Exactly.
and so of course she's in New York looking for work, because she's possibly thinking about making this place where her new life was going to be with this man. And as they go through the motions of being together, I think she kind of realized like this ain't what I want,
Yeah.
and they have a conversation and he's like, we've been together all these years. What you mean? And she's like, that's the point. We have all these years, and what else?
And what else do we have? Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I think she realized at that point that, she had found a love because she, had experienced that with Darius.
Yeah.
She has experienced a different level of a connection, another level of intimacy that she had never felt with Marvin.
Right.
She had never felt that with him. And then here comes this person just out of the universe,
Mm-hmm.
um, that just totally captivates her in such a way that he never did.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those years became
Just
literally
that.
just those years. It was just time.
Yep.
It was nothing impactful or meaningful as far as she was concerned. And the other thing that resonated with me, just in having dealt with something a personality similar to that, it's like there's nothing worse than, he didn't get it. It's
No.
nothing worse when the person that you're with, they just don't understand or they just don't get it. Like he
Mm-hmm.
didn't understand what she was coming from with that all those years.
Right.
He couldn't get the fact that, okay, well, yeah, we got all this history, but it, it it's just that's just it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this man was able to come in and do all of this and put all this love Jones on this lady. He couldn't stop thinking about her. And then when he finally got the nerve and courage to really want to tell her or just say something, it was like a missed opportunity.
Yep.
He had just missed the train. She was on the train and he had just missed it. And then when she
No,
came
that
back,
didn't happen yet. That didn't happen
oh,
yet.
okay, okay. Wait
Yeah.
a minute. When did she get on the train? When did she? Was she?
So she went back to Chicago, but she didn't reach
Yes.
out to Darius because I think she was going to, but then she was at a bookstore and just so happened to see
Oh,
him
yeah.
walking by with that girl.
Girl. That's right.
Mhm.
Yep.
And
And
so
they
she
had their
decided
arms
to not
around.
call him
That's right.
because she felt
And
like he had moved on. So
oh
in the
yeah, because
midst,
that's when his buddy tried to move in from the funeral parlor.
right, driving the hearse,
Driving the hearse,
talking
trying to
about
take
it's
her
a Cadillac.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's right. Yep. That part hadn't happened yet. Man, that was so hilarious. I mean, how do you even deal with that part though? Okay, you come back to Chicago, you see your guy, see this guy you was in a situation where y'all smash. He got some other chick he talking to, and then his boy try to come in. And it's like, I just want to take pictures. I just want to have lunch. And she started doing this X, Y, and Z. And then they see each other. Is
Mhm.
that it? That was like a pivotal. Oh, that's a big no-no, ladies. Never, never, never smash the homie. Never date the homie. Don't date the homie, ladies. Don't smash because they definitely talk in circles, and your name will definitely be known. So that's just
Mhm.
a FYI.
So so the friend, like Leah said, pops up into the equation and he's like, yeah, because she's a photographer. So he's like, I want you to shoot some pictures for me or whatever. No, well, he booked a session for some pictures. And when he popped
Yep.
up, she like, what you doing here? And he like, I want you to, photograph me or whatever. So she takes the pictures and he's like, let me take you out, whatever. So they go on a date. At the end of dinner, he's like, oh, it's a kickback over here. You want to go? And she's like, well, who all's going to be there? And he like, just some friends, whatever. So they get there. And of course, it's Darius's friends. And
Oh my.
everybody is looking like, why she here? Whatever. So, of course, Nina is embarrassed. So, Nina walks out. She's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? So, she was like, why would you bring me here? And he's like, what you mean? And she's like, you know what I mean. Take me home. And so, him just being
Oh,
raggedy was
real
like,
rag.
I ain't taking you nowhere.
Trifling.
Trifling. So, he like walked in.
And he left her out when he walked in there and he was like, well, where's Nina? Because he was paying attention to the interaction. Darius was, even though he was pissed off.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I don't know where she is. And she walking down the street and all of that. And then he runs out after her. And I'm like, gone, Darius. So it was like the beginning of just trying to, he was like, I don't want to talk to you either. I just want to put your ass in this cab and make sure you get
Yeah.
home.
But
You
the
know, you
phrase
don't
that
want to be
cracked
out
me
here.
up, he was like, you walking down the street like somebody stole your fucking bike.
Yeah.
See that being me
That's
like,
exactly what he said. And she was stomping too. She was walking. That's my line too. That's exactly what he said to you.
you acting like somebody stole your fucking bike.
Girl. And when she did, she just looked at him like, he really made this analogy. Like,
Right?
Oh my God, girl, that was hilarious.
But it was
And then,
so gentleman-like of him to be like, I just want to make sure you get home okay. That's it.
Exactly. And when they got
Mm-hmm.
to the payphone, I think they were like separately, I think standing there. And I think that's when they got kind of had the conversation like, oh, you should have told me you was going to be dating my boy and all this and that. And when they got in the cab, she was like, I don't think it would be makes much difference to you because I saw you and your girlfriend at the effing bookstore or whatever. And she slammed the cab. He was like, man, he didn't think she saw that. He didn't know that, of course, that had been seen. So he kind of felt real like a stupid ass about that. But I'm like, damn, this here they go again. Here they go again.
But I think that same night he ends up calling her And it was crazy because they was both calling each other. So when they actually picked up the
Yep.
phone, they was already on the line.
Man. Oh my God, that was nuts. That
Mm-hmm.
was like a whole other connection right there.
Yep.
And I think they talking because I think they went out again, but she said she wanted him to take her out on a real date, and
Yeah.
they
So they
actually
went to
she got dressed up.
B103 step a set.
Yeah. They sure did. They went to V103 step and said, and they was stepping. They
Mm-hmm.
was stepping. And then where did they go after that?
They went to Buckingham
They
Fountain.
go. They went for a walk along Buckingham Fountain downtown
Yep.
Chicago. Man, and they talked for a long time.
And
And
I
then,
think,
of course, they went back to that. Oh yeah, they went. Yeah, that was Buckingham downtown.
yep, right on the lakefront, on Michigan Ave. So I feel like just that whole date in itself, like I think it was just like the perfect date when you think of we went dancing, like we had a good time, and then afterwards we just went for a walk and we talked, and you it kind of like romanticizes the dating, the dating period.
Yeah,
Which is something I don't think a lot of us do. Like we go to dinner or we go to a movie, but how often do we take long walks and just talk? Or how often, like, just do something that's non-sexual?
exactly. I think it's very, very far and few in between. I think that we always think about the environments that we're going to be in when we're dating, and
Mm-hmm.
for somehow, some way, it always leads to some type of intimate contact
Mm-hmm.
where sometimes it's good that I'm glad that they were able to kind of shift and kind of go back to a
Mm-hmm.
place where they could have a date, because she just said she wanted, to actually have a real date. They had already smashed, so that the sex
Right.
was good. They already knew that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was wanting to get to know each other on a deeper level that wasn't sexual.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Although when they went back, it was hilarious when she told him he was going to be on the couch.
He like, what? He like, no, I want mine now. Cause she was like,
Like, no,
let's
no, no,
save
baby.
some for later.
He was like, no, baby, you ain't got to say nothing. I want my dessert. I want mine now.
Right.
Like, we don't have to say nothing. He was like, no, baby, you ain't got to say nothing for me. He was like, Nina, you don't have to do this. He was
Right.
mad.
Like
He
we
really,
already know what this is. Like, what are you doing?
she was like, I know, but I want it to be special. I want to end the night like a lady. And
Mm.
I'm like, girl,
And
baby,
then
bye.
when they get to, their respective areas, they both tossing and turning because the tension is there. And so
Right.
he comes upstairs and he's like, can I play something for you? And again, this is like, to me, one of the most romantic things you could do. But
Yeah.
he plays, where's my phone? He plays
Uh,
this song in the sentimental, I
in a
think it's,
sentimental mood by
yeah, in the
John
sentimental,
Coltrane.
yeah, yeah. He
Yeah,
plays that
I like
song and they dance. And then it also make me think of Claire and Cliff Huxtable because they also
that.
dance to that same song on
They
their show.
did.
Hmm.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, that was like a whole pivotal moment for me. I think that kind of transcended the respect that they have for each other in a relationship. I think it starts to take on the dynamics of a relationship, because it's like, okay, you cheated, not cheated, but you was dealing with this chick when I left. I dated your boy. It wasn't this or wasn't that, and then we kind of got back on the same page where they could kind of. It starts to take the form
Yeah.
of
And this
something
is
that
when that
like a
situationship transcends to an actual relationship for them.
yes, yep, I think so too. I think that
Mhm.
was definitely the scene where it kind of got it took the situation out of that category, definitely.
Yeah. And so from that moment forward, like they were together, like you just knew they were together. They wasn't just hanging out. They wasn't just kicking it. They was together. Like I think
Yeah.
they had low key kind of like moved in with each other, and they had
Right.
keys to each other's places, and
Yeah.
all of that
She
type of
even
stuff. And
started smoking. She started smoking because she
right,
wasn't. I was like, what?
because when they first met at the bar, she was like, "You should stop smoking." And then once their relationship starts to turn,
Yeah.
she started taking on, like you mentioned before, just they started, taking on each other's personalities.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think their relationship, I think it starts to get not tumultuous, but you go through those phases of that infatuation, where
Mm-hmm.
you're really interested in the person, and it's y'all cool, you really feeling it, you feeling him, and the situation or the relationship or the situation as it starts out is everything is really good. And I think, if you don't communicate, and when you get into the meat and potatoes of the relationship as it starts to evolve, like I think they had a horrible way of communication in the beginning. Like
Right.
the sex was good. I love hanging out with you. I love being with you. But they had some communication blockages, I think, in such a way where
Mm-hmm.
they were trying to get to know each other, their personalities, but the communication wasn't all that great in
Yeah.
the beginning.
And
Yeah.
so I feel like, because the girl that he was seeing while Nina was gone resurfaces. And basically, she calls him like in the middle of the night one night. He puts her number on like like on a board or whatever. And so she's kind of like, what is going on? But I think
Yeah.
what actually happened is maybe he never told that girl, like, hey, I'm not feeling this no more. I'm with this person. And so it left that girl wondering like what happened. So of course she feels like she can call you whenever she wants because she was never told not to.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they didn't have any real he did not have any real strong boundaries. I think Nina was all for Darius. I think she was all in to a
Mm-hmm.
certain respect. And I think when she came back, I think when she was there in New York with Marvin, she realized that the relationship that she wanted to probably put her energy into was her and Darius.
Yeah.
And I don't think that she expected him to still be, having stragglers or nobody else laying around in such a way.
Right.
Hmm.
So I don't think she necessarily, like you said, bad communication, but she didn't know how to approach the situation. So of course, she approaching it from having an attitude type of standpoint, like so
Yeah,
versus her being like, why did she call in the middle of the night or what's going on with that situation? She immediately popped off like, I don't know what you got going on. You got her calling in the middle of the night, saving her phone number, like
yeah, he got her phone number on. I think that wasn't definitely not smart of him because he definitely had her number thumb tacked on the board with all his other important notes or flyers and stuff. And I was like,
yeah.
wow, that's very interesting. So
Hmm.
it,
But
I
then
think it speaks.
that opened up his insecurity when he brings up her talking to Hollywood, when she first got back to Chicago.
Mhm, definitely. I think that, yeah, yeah, I think that definitely opened him up to that. But I think that probably may have stung him a little bit more because that's somebody that he knows.
Yeah.
That's somebody that he was more affiliated with. So I think that, again, somebody in the crew, that's definitely probably like off limits because it just is. I mean,
Hmm.
that's just kind of a rule of thumb that you not if you talking to one guy and they got a whole bunch of them. I mean, literally, if it go bad, sometimes it happens. Most times it doesn't, but You don't really want to talk to nobody else that's affiliated in their little clique or their crew or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think it brings up insecurities about him, but also kind of it sheds some light on the fears that he has in relationships,
Yeah.
because why do you feel like you always have to keep somebody around kind of hanging on the outside in case something doesn't work out with this person?
Mm-hmm.
And you never really see Darius really come to a point where he exposes himself emotionally, which I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of men do not do until a certain part in his life where he actually realizes, hey, let me just stop playing around with this, because this particular woman, again, like you said, he got that persona that he fine, he can have who he want. And for some reason, men think sometimes that the women will wait around, and that we're just gonna be around. We just don't have nothing else to do. And I think it is important for women to be honest with themselves. Sometimes we will wait,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we hold out. But make no mistake about it, it's an expiration on everything.
Fact.
Whether we get inspiration or the universe decides to step in. Because if we taking too long, the universe will end it. They'll
Yeah.
decide that it'll decide. God
Your
will decide.
season has
Hey,
come and passed.
your season has come and gone. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
It went all the way to the left, so this thing, is over with in such a way.
Yep.
So if we don't make those decisions in our relationships so that we can get to the person that we're supposed to get to, if we're supposed to get with this person or that person, the universe definitely will step in and do it for us. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that, with him, he thought that she would be the one, to wait. And it's like, yeah, I'm feeling you. I really like you. And I think that he knew that. And I think also there's a small part that plays on her, on the emotional part, that he knows that she feels for him. I
Mm-hmm.
think that too, to a certain level. If they know you feeling them, they might take it a little bit step further and be on some, kind of reckless mental or emotional manipulation because they think that they can. But
Right.
again, make no mistake about it, fellas, it does have an expiration date on it. So you can
Mm-hmm.
play around with that if you want to.
Yep. And that whole conversation, Nina was like, we not doing this, like, good, cool. It's a wrap. Like, good day, sir. And she
Okay.
left.
She was hurt behind that, and I don't think that that's something that she wanted to do, but it was
Mm-hmm.
something else definitely that she had to do. She had to prove that point to him, and he had to come to some realizations on his own about, you either want this love or you don't. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
And I think that the time that they spent apart that go round, I think he actually took the time to evaluate what happened and where he went wrong and what he could have done better. And so, they spend some time apart. Nina ends up getting a job in New York with Source Magazine.
Yep.
And, her friend, the friend who told her, if he trip, stay. If he don't, go, you know, she knows what Darius meant to Nina. And so
Yes.
as Nina is getting ready to leave to get on the train and go to New York, the friend calls Darius and says, hey, I thought you should know Nina got a job in New York and she leaving today at this time. Do what you want with that information. And so
Exactly.
I think he sit there for a moment, like, low key, he like, man, fuck her. But then at the same time, he turned around and he like, nah, I need to go get my girl. You know what I'm saying? And
Very.
so he gets to the train station. And as the train is like literally leaving, he just gets there. And so he misses his opportunity to tell Nina how he feels. So of course he has to go more time without expressing himself because Nina's now gone.
Yep. And then when she winds up coming back to Chicago, it was for a photo shoot. Remember?
Yep.
Comes back. Her assistant brings her all her itinerary. She was coming back to Chicago for
Mm-hmm.
a photo shoot. He did not know she was coming
Nope.
back or anything. She didn't tell him anything. It was like she had closed that chapter off in her mind. I think she was still loving him. She was still in love with the thought of them being together, but she was moving on.
Yep.
She was moving on with her life. If he wanted it, if the Lord wanted them to be together, it was gonna have to be something to happen. But
Yep.
she was just like done. I think she came to a point. She was focused on herself. She was focused on her craft, what she needed to do. And when she came back and went to that club, the poetry club, the poetic, because he said maybe you'll write me one. That was like in the beginning of the movie.
Right.
Written that poem, and she didn't see him there, but went ahead and said it, not knowing that he actually was there.
Yeah, and
And it's
heard
like
it.
that was so dope. And when she left out and he called from her across the street, I was like, oh my God.
Yep.
Like, are you kidding me right now? Like,
And she, they talk about being together, and she's like, I live in New York, and he like, so, and she's like, your timing is always off. And he was like, well, I'm on time like a motherfucker.
okay. He said, and she said something like, and he was urgent like a motherfucker. He was
Mm-hmm.
really, was like, this right here, this is where I need to be. He had finally figured it out. He
Yep.
wasn't scared. He wasn't, he had dealt with his issues, and
Mm-hmm.
he had healed and come full circle. And I'm
Yep.
telling you, talking about something powerful, just when we all do our healing in our relationships, just with ourselves, and how the universe brings us just what we need. It's
Mm-hmm.
always not what we think we want at the time, but I think it's so important to do the self healing. But I also think it's people that are sent in our lives and that we actually come in contact with in divine time and that help us to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's their purpose. Their purpose is to help you heal so that you can get back out there, so that you can open your heart to love, and that you're able to really to focus and see what you really want and evaluate that. Because I
Right.
mean, who actually just be dating random people like for forever and ever? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's never the goal. Like, you don't go out on a date or you don't interact with people just to interact or have communication.
Right.
You're looking you're looking for something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And I
And it's
definitely feel like as you get older, you are looking for a partner in life. So just dating random
yep,
people constantly having to start over, it's definitely not, it may look fun. Like a lot of people be like, you living the life, you traveling, you single, you ain't got no kids, but at the end of the day, like, yeah, I'm successful in my job. I'm doing my podcast. I'm able to travel. I'm able to do all of these things for myself. And I'm very appreciative for the time that I have to do these things. But in the same token, it's just like, you want somebody to share in those accomplishments that that you're achieving. You want a companion. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
And so constantly dating, just dating random people, it does get tiresome.
Yeah, it gets tiresome because it's like, uh, you know, red dress, black dress. What am I gonna wear? And it's like, okay, it's almost like you just stop yourself, because at some point it's just like, God, I just need you to take over. I need
Mm-hmm.
you to want to, bring people into my life that are meant to be there. And it's like, you're not forcing the process, you're not rushing the process. But I think we have to be honest, and we also have to be authentic in exactly what it is that we want per se in a relationship, or what we want in a companion. I think having those characteristics and the ability to be able to know that and be able to really stand firm in what we want and just focus on ourselves, I think that's going to give us the biggest gratification
Mm-hmm.
when people actually appear, because it's not like they don't exist. What is it that we're supposed to be learning? Am I supposed to be in a relationship at this time? Am I supposed to be self healing at this time? What is it? So I
Mm-hmm.
think when we don't try to like figure things out, like they were both on their own journeys,
Right.
and they were divinely brought together by a chain of events that ultimately they helped each other heal from certain
Mm-hmm.
insecurities and fears. And then it was like this magnetic attraction. So it's That's like my favorite movie like ever.
Yeah, I definitely think it gives people hope that their person is out there somewhere, and you'll randomly find this you'll randomly meet this person. And like you said in the previous episode that we did together, that it can happen by chance. You can meet somebody in the grocery store, whatever. But it's definitely one of those things that he who finds a wife finds a good thing.
Exactly. I definitely feel like that for sure. Like you don't know where that chance meeting is gonna like happen.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know where that meeting is gonna take place. You have no idea just going out to get the paper, like, who is this person? And I think it all to like the universe to do it. If you leave it all for just relaxing and chilling and not putting so much emphasis on it,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's almost like for hair, being in the hair industry, beauty industry for a length of time and coming from a family of that. It's like if you do all these things to your hair and you're just not giving it time to rest and not processing and doing all, it's not going to grow the way we want. It's not going to be as healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And relationships are just like that. When we're trying to find, we want a companion or trying to find a companion, or it's like we don't even have to do all of that. Just
Mm-hmm.
enjoy the journey and just enjoy the lessons that we're learning. But it's like, God, you still want to be strategic and put emphasis. Hey, this is the kind of man that I want. But it's like He knows the kind of man that we want, the kind of man that we need. God knows our hearts because He knows the desires and all the little quirky stuff we don't like. Like, don't have me nobody with that bottom tooth ain't overlapping the right or the left. This ass twitching a little bit too hard for me, Jesus. I can't. I'm gonna need.
His voice a little too light, Lord.
He's talking to. I need to see who he's talking to. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need none of that. I need to know who you looking at here, okay?
Right. Like, give me a sign, Lord.
Okay. Yeah, it's something you can learn from Love Jones. It's just it's an all time classic. It's just such a deep movie. It really is.
I think it's so much more we can delve into when it comes to this movie for sure.
Man.
But these
Yep.
are some of the like main themes that pop out to me. When I think about Love Jones, just to give y'all like a little taste of something, and it's still these things are still relevant. These
Yes, they
are
are.
still things that people experience every day. And I just wanted to talk
Yep.
about it. So, that's why we talked about it today.
Yep. Which I think that's awesome. And I think it's so relatable. That's why I love good movies, classic movies, because they're all relatable. They're interchangeable. They're like you said in the beginning. They're classics. They never go out of style, out of season. You can
Mm-hmm.
always watch it, and you can always, after so many times watching the movie, it's like, man, you just start dissecting other little bitty things. Like, man,
Yeah.
I didn't know that they did that. You start
Mm-hmm.
catching all this other stuff, and it just even makes more sense. So it's good. It's good mental therapy. It's a good soul therapy. So it's all around good, really good.
Mm-hmm. So, if you haven't seen Love Jones, I would definitely recommend you see it. If you haven't watched it in a while, go ahead, watch it, see what you get out of it, because like I said, so much more to take from this movie than what we talked about
Hmm.
today. And, take some of those lessons learned and apply it to your life.
Exactly, exactly. And I know I definitely do. I'm like, I'm in the mood to watch it. I had already watched it, but I'm like, I'm gonna rewatch it again.
Yeah.
Just to look at the dynamics of stuff. It's like, man, these two people, You just never know. And here
Mhm.
she was coming off of a hard breakup, and he was out here doing his bachelor player thing, and he got caught up in something emotional that he wasn't even expecting.
He caught that Love Jones.
He got caught. He got his bike stolen.
He got that bike stowed.
So yeah, and you know what the other thing too was so funny about it too. Just in closing out from that particular month, it's even the married couple. It was so much going
Yeah.
on in that movie. He was going
Mhm.
through some things too in his marriage, and it was like, man, you know, and then you had the kind of the cliche that married people don't hang with single people. Well, they were the only married couple example in a little clique.
Yeah.
Nobody else was married or in like a super serious relationship, and it really it shed light on too, single people and married people, they can't hang out.
Yeah.
It's just that the people that are single, you need to be that you are to respect, you know what I mean, the relationship or the marital vows. But they were such a strong couple. He was such a strong man that he didn't allow, all of their foolery and the boundaries that they didn't have because they didn't have to have them as a single one. He didn't let those impact his marriage, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I think that was a great also an illustration of how you keep your boundaries and keep stuff in check where it's not affecting your household as far
Yeah.
as your marriage.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's good. That's one for the books. You know what I mean? That movie is one for the books for sure.
Definitely. It
Yeah.
surely is. But we gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So Leah, you wanna let them know where they can follow you at on social media?
Guys, please follow me at One Queendom. That's one QUEENDOM. And I am Leah Hicks on Facebook. And I also have at the Cocoon Project will be on Instagram as well. So that's coming soon too. Thank you so much for you guys tuning in, and also always showing love to my Coco. She is just one of the pioneers, and just embarking on something so great. Super proud to be a part of it and to be back again for round 2 on Kicking with Coco.
So again, I always thank you guys for tuning in. You can always reach out to me on Instagram at Kikiing with Coco. My website, you can reach out to me on there. I'll receive your email at kikiingwithcocopodcast.com. I also have my t-shirts. I'm Black 25-8. So go ahead and cop that. I am also releasing new colorways in those t-shirts coming soon. So be on the lookout for that. And, of course, you can email me at kikiingwithcocopod@gmail.com. So thanks for tuning in again. And as always, love you guys. Bye.